Let's get it out of the way early. Lords of the Fallen is going to be compared to Dark Souls. It's a punishingly difficult third-person RPG in which you go around medieval dungeons, fighting monsters and rock-hard bosses that require you to lock on and roll around. Then when you die, everything you've killed previously comes back to life, and all your XP hangs around on the spot where you died in a big cloud. See what I mean? Developers CI Games and Deck 13 are clearly inspired by From Software's Bleak masterpiece, but are aiming to create a game with a feel that's all its own. From the start, it's apparent that Lords of the Fallen is much less willfully obtuse than Dark Souls. Where Dark Souls made you figure out what was going on yourself from piecing together fragments of information, here there's a definite story concerning a convicted criminal named Harkyn, who's given the chance to redeem himself by setting out on a quest against a power that threatens all of mankind. Harkyn is fully voiced also, and there are other characters for you to interact with in the game, letting you form alliances, be a dick to people, or help those in need, depending on your mood.
Thank you. I owe my life to you, stranger.
That counts as helping and being a dick, FYI. Your actions throughout the game promise to affect the world and lead to multiple endings as well, so probably best to stay on people's good side now that I think about it.
Here, take this one.
There we go, that should do it. Combat is tough, but there are some forgiving touches thrown in, such as combos, which reduce the amount of stamina required for certain attacks, and sneak attacks, which allow you to cause major damage to enemies if you can get the drop on them. Killing enemies earns you XP, and as I mentioned before, when you die, that XP gathers into a cloud next to where your corpse would have been. Thing is, that XP slowly diminishes, so you'll need to get back to where you were as fast as you can if you want to get as much of it back as possible. XP can be spent on upgrading your character as shards, the game's version of checkpoints, but every enemy you defeat without visiting a shard increases the amount of XP you get from the next enemy. Die and your XP multiplier resets and you'll lose some XP. So there's a risk-reward system at play. Move forward and get more XP, or bank a lower amount now for immediate upgrades. It's basically the weakest link, but with great swords. From the brief hands-on time we've had with it, Lords of the Fallen feels like a more accessible Dark Souls, which is clearly what the developers are going for. Combat feels weighty and takes skill and timing, and the bosses clearly require careful study and meticulous planning to defeat. There's also less of that queasy sense of unease that seems to permeate the Souls games, which may be a good or a bad thing depending on how you feel about that. Harkyn seems like a jerk too, but then I'd probably be annoyed if I had all that writing on my face as well.
A gift from the court, a reminder of my sins.
We'll find out for sure if this is the game bereft Souls fans have been waiting for when it releases on October 28th in North America and Halloween in Europe. Until then, we'll be trying to figure out how to beat this guy. I'm sure that shield counts as cheating somehow.